Hello there and welcome to the kitchen of the dollhouse. And what are we cooking up tonight? Well, my friends, another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers for February 26th, the day of arousal. That's right. And here at the top of the page is a visual representational image of the day of arousal. What could it be? Well, get your mind out the gutter. We're in the kitchen tonight, all right? That's right. It is a pepper of some kind. That's right. I prefer cayenne, but I don't know if it's, janky enough looking for a cayenne pepper. That being said, janky, I don't know, bulbous is maybe the right word. It's got a lot of little things going on there. That said, this one, I don't know what it could be. It might just be a chili pepper of some kind of denomination. Who's to say? That being said, does that speak to the day of arousal? Hey, maybe to some folks, maybe to some folks. That having been said, it's not altogether all too important, the visual representational image. I just like you to know what's going on here on the page, so you know kind of what's going on in a paradigm off camera there a little bit if you like. That said, what is important is it's February 26th, and so it's somebody's birthday. With that having been said, if your birthday is February 26th, I just want to wish you a happy birthday. That's right, that's what's important around here. Wishing you happy birthday. But if this video finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may happen to be, I just want to say I hope you had a happy birthday if that's the circumstance. But for everybody else joining us randomly or more ideally to celebrate, I want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts is take a minute or two to roll some dice. That's right, this is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to live up to the namesake, but I do so, more importantly, with a purpose, if you like, for synchronicity's sake. That's right, and here I rolled 6 and 4 for a 10. Now, what is synchronicity, you're probably wondering? Well, my friends, as I've heard it told, the universe or the higher powers that be is apt to put things in our path to help us manifest our goals, realize our aspirations. But a lot of times as we get through going after our job or going on errands, if you like, we're very narrow of focus or laser, if you like, and so we oftentimes have the blinders on to what's going on around us. And we may see such things, but maybe we don't lend them much credence. All right, so this is a little bit of an exercise to help you get those blinders off and maybe see the things the universe is putting in your path. But how do we do that, you probably wondered? Well, my friends, we need something that we can, agree upon with the universe. That's right. Your daily numbers. Something we can't help but notice. That's the sign we're looking for. Now, you don't have to go with the numbers I rolled for you. The intention is there, but it's probably advisable you get your own set of dice. Raid that old Yahtzee set that's collecting dust in the closet there. And you need something to help the universe take the wheel and drive, if you like. So you can ascribe directional values to number sets as well as time limits with which to go in those directions, all right? Once that's said, once you have all those tools in your back pocket there, or your purse, whatever the case may happen to be, get out to some place maybe near and dear to your heart, or some place you haven't necessarily explored before. I often like to say the town square, but let's pick Main Street today, see where we get off to, all right? So that said, once you pick your spot, like I said, get those blinders off, because you don't know, the day might start to take on a little bit of a theme, all right? The universe might start putting things in your path there to kind of help assure you you're going down the right path. But you got to be eagle-eyed to see such things, all right? It might not just be your numbers, all right? It could be something random, but you never know. And if you're just kind of intent on the numbers, you might miss that as well. Let's take the pepper, for instance. Hey, you might start seeing peppers everywhere. And I know that sounds a little bit, I don't know, arcane or abstract. But hey, you never know. It might present on advertisements just outside your purview there, outside your what's it called? Your, you get it. I can't think of the word. Your peripheral. There you go. It might be a mural on the side of a building. Or, I don't know who's to say, a giant chili pepper on top of one of them, street vans that they got the tacos inside there. Boy, my words don't work for me tonight. That said, your first time value and directional value, you start off, and maybe you don't see anything of note. It's just the everyday goings-on of the main street there. And don't get dissuaded, so once you get to the end of your time limit, take a moment to stop, compose yourself, and look around. You might just so happen to notice something small, like, I don't know, maybe you're on 10th Street in Maine. There you go. I would take that as a sign you're on the right path. Hey, what's this? Maybe the number 10 bus pulls right up beside you. Hey, you might be at that stop. You know what? I would say that's a sign to get on and ride, all right? And maybe you just so happen to have perfect change in your pocket to do as much. And I know you might not ride the bus all that often, but hey, you know what? We're out here, we're exploring, see what you see. Like I said, maybe on the side of that bus is an advertisement for a pepper, all right? Just more endorsement of as much. So get on the bus, maybe roll yourself a time value so you know when to get off of this thing, because you want off immediately. And maybe no sooner do you, again, roll your 10, just keep it simple, right? Maybe you look up and instead of the time value, maybe you notice somebody's wearing like a sports jersey with a 10 on it, or perhaps a 64, okay? Hey, you know what? I would take that as a sign also. Maybe you can use them as a kind of white rabbit, and you ride the bus until they get off, all right? It could also be that you use them as something to follow, all right? And if that's something you choose to do, well, just give them a little bit of a buffer, because you don't necessarily want to spook them. Let them know you're following them. They might adjust course, all right? That said, if they do notice that you followed them, hey, you shouldn't have been stalking somebody. It's not advisable. That said, hey, just be open, transparent in what you're doing. Show them this video, show them your dice, and they're apt to say, that's crazy. And you're apt to say, I know, but you're out here trying to shake up your birthday. You know what? I think people can understand. But that said, what might be even more crazy is they tell you it's their birthday too. All right, I always like to use that example because it's something that seems so outlandish, but you know what? It's not outside the realm of possibility. And what's great here too, if somebody happens to present like that, they might just be apt to join you on this journey. It might not even be their birthday. You run into somebody asking why you're rolling craps in the middle of the street. Hey, you know what? You just tell them. And like I said, if they join you, that's great, because the more people who are focused on the same results, they're apt to beget even greater examples, greater results, more synchronicities, all right? So I think you get the idea. Get out there, see, taste, touch, smell, intuit, just a little bit of the magic. You understand why I brought it up. All right, let's dive into your birthday read. That's why you're here. Your month is February, your day is the 26th, your sign is 6 to 8 degrees Pisces of the Pisces I period specifically, and your quality and element is mutable water. All right, February 26th, the day, that's right, of arousal. Those born on February 26th have a great capacity to arouse others both emotionally and mentally. They are highly attuned to people's sensitivities and therefore able to stir them deeply. Very adept at wielding irony and satire, they are also able to bring critical faculties to bear on the faults of both people and social interactions. More highly evolved individuals born on this day devote themselves to selfless causes in order to benefit their fellow human beings, often awakening them to the possibilities of both material and spiritual advancement. And although February 26 people are highly individualistic, often engaged in somewhat lonely pursuit of personal goals, they have a quiet but magnetic effect on those they meet. Most born on this day are not given to public displays of affection and are more comfortable when spontaneity and impulsiveness originate with the other party. But while in private, they are often quiet, serious, and peace-loving individuals. And they generally adopt a much more aggressive persona in their work life. And because those born on this day are capable of wounding others deeply with their criticisms and probing insights, they must be aware of arousing enmity and antagonism. But though February 26 people, particularly as parents, can be overly authoritarian on occasion, they are rarely as firm or decided in their stance as they would like to appear. Actually, they are very vulnerable to emotional appeals, and their buttons a bit easy to push. Where indulgences for their lovers, family members, and children are concerned, this may not be such a bad thing. However, it is best if those born on this day lessen their reactiveness when handling their business or professional affairs. And many February 26 people have a bad habit of presenting an over-serious or even high-handed demeanor, and should therefore try to lighten up and take themselves a bit less seriously. More highly evolved February 26 people develop a much needed capacity to laugh at themselves without losing dignity or self-esteem. And due to their empathic powers, February 26 people can strike a common chord in those whom they do not know that well or even have never met, through their work or creations, it says in parentheticals. Being on the same wavelength with others and sharing good feelings is very highly valued by them. Those born on this day are extremely happy where there is no need to explain themselves, but can feel assured that the other person silently understands their thinking. And because many February 26 people secretly feel on the outside of society, being accepted carries great significance for them. In gaining social recognition for their often unusual achievements, they are brought into meaningful contact with society at large. However, should they assume positions of importance or receive a great deal of worldly success, they may feel but a heightened desire to be alone once again with their work. Well, all right. Hey, you know what? This was a highly personalized, or well-rounded anyhow. They're all personalized to some extent, but a very well-rounded birthday breakdown. And I bring that up because, by and large, the book has been pivoting away from that and being very hyper laser focused on the theme or a theme of the day, and then just expanding out from there. Here, I think they did a pretty good job of rounding things out. So it's nice. I like to bring it up because it's a deviation back to form. That having been said, I'd like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we've just read, what we've gone over, maybe make connections with the period at large or days previous, and just things I found interesting. So talk about it a little bit, all right? So let's dive in, all right? February 26th, the day of arousal. You're said to possess a great capacity to arouse others both mentally and physically. And you might have been assuming another word, but again, we're in the kitchen. Let's keep it kosher, all right? The reading claims you may be highly attuned to other people's sensitivities and able to deeply affect them. Quiet, but magnetic. You're capable with irony and satire and serious, peace-loving individuals. But you're also aggressive in your work life and your pursuits. And the reading claims those of you who are higher evolved may devote yourselves to causes that benefit others, and often in ways that open them to both material and spiritual considerations. So that's huge, I would say. So all things considered, there is quite the dynamic capacity for you to not only vacillate between a myriad of paradigms, but dichotomies as well. And it's also a little enigmatic to encapsulate into a concise distillation there. But another example being you are able to wound others deeply with your criticisms and insight, but you're also empathetic and vulnerable to emotional appeals from your family there. Many, if not all, the qualities mentioned have also presented in this period. One chief difference, however, being your ostensibly more grounded and conservative foundation, whereas theirs is a little bit more higher up, head in the clouds kind of thing. While it is mentioned that selfless causes may be something the higher evolved may dedicate themselves, this facet alone has been a focus for many of the preceding days. And you're also said to bring critical faculties to bear on people as well as society, which, as it turns out, is also a chief focus for yet another previous day here. Having said that, however, all these things are just an assortment of various tools in your bag. One striking difference, however, seems to be this habit of coming off over serious. While there have been allusions to such attitudes with others in this period, it hasn't been so directly stated. And with that in mind, there is an ostensible good explanation for this ability of yours to possess such qualities, but not in so many words be a so-called master of any particular one. in particular there. But there's also a reason that we'll address here in a moment as to why that might be as we dive in with your numbers and your planets. All right, here we go. Those born on the 26th of the month are ruled by the number 8, as 2 plus 6 equals 8, and by the planet Saturn. Saturn posits responsibility and a sense of limitation, caution, and fatalism. And in the case of February 26 people, conservative and dictatorial tendencies may be emphasized. The combined influence of Saturn and Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, can make for magnetic, almost hypnotic powers of attraction. And those ruled by the number 8 generally build their lives and careers slowly but carefully. And although they may be quite warm-hearted, Saturnian influences can lend them a forbidding, even grave appearance. All right, interesting. This one was pretty highly personalized for you. At least they changed up a few of the words that they would otherwise have as a boilerplate kind of thing. That said, let's once again dive into the notes, see what I had to say here. Hopefully impart a little bit more value here for you. The number 8 in the constrictive planet Saturn for traits of personal responsibility, a sense of limitation, caution, and for you specifically, an emphasized conservative dictatorial attitude, apparently. Perhaps a facet of that previously mentioned aim toward social recognition and worldly success. Who's to say? Because it does sound distinctly like a seemingly contrary way to receive as much, at least in an otherwise glowing terms, if you like. But with the added influence of the watery planet Neptune, the planet of dreams, visions, and high ideals, the naturally baked-in magnetic draw it provides is claimed to take on a hypnotic quality for you specifically. And that word hypnotic doesn't typically come up here, so that's interesting. So that's to your powers of attraction there. But the reading also claims you can be quite warm-hearted, but appear forbidding and even grave. And usually this is written as present a cold exterior, not grave. So I can't tell if your appearance may be different or if they're just changing up the copy. But a grave appearance certainly doesn't sound good, so hopefully it's not that. All right, so that's been your numbers and your planets. Let's move on to your tarot. That's right. One of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, but hey, it's here in the book. We don't have to take it home with us, start dealing out the cards to predict our future. And a lot of times we can make connotations with the breakdown, make further connections if you like. So let's dive in and see what she has to say. The 8th card of the major arcana is Strength or Courage, which depicts a graceful queen taming a furious lion. And the queen symbolizes the female magician who can master rebellious energies and stands for moral as well as physical strength. And the card's positive attributes include charisma and determination to succeed. The negative qualities include complacency and a misuse of power. All right, this one was rather succinct, a bit boilerplate, copy-paste job if you like, but hey, let's see if I can provide a little bit more of value here for you. Maybe make some connections with the breakdown here. It's not uncharacteristic that they just copy-paste it over. It is a little bit more anomalous if they say button something personal to it there for you. But here nor there, let's dive back into the notes. Strength and courage for mastering rebellious energies and standing for moral and physical strength. All right, for positives of charisma and determination to succeed. I didn't get an overwhelming sense from the breakdown that you were particularly charismatic, specifically in your work and life there. Kind of ruled with a heavy right hand there, it sounded like. To say you had a serious, aggressive persona, right? And you could also be critically wounding and over-serious. But it is quite possible that on account of your determination to succeed, being coupled to what was that dictatorial attitude they said, a certain kind of charisma might come out of that. I would say certain people are going to see that and be captivated. You wouldn't necessarily associate charisma with that, but hey, maybe you would. Maybe you would. All right. Warnings of complacency and misuse of power, though, they certainly fit your position there, at least the work facet there, I would say. So, you know what? I would say the card fits quite aptly in those regards. Might have to change the perspective a little bit, specifically with the charisma, but maybe not too terribly. Not too terribly. That having been said, that's your tarot. Rather painless, though I think we made some associations. We're able to further drill down on certain things, make it apply more, see it for what it was a little bit better. That said, let's move on to your health. I totally skipped this yesterday for whatever reason. I had to throw it at the end, so it kind of shook things up there for me. But here I didn't forget for you. Let's dive in, all right? Those born on February 26 have a confidence in their ability to keep themselves in good health through autosuggestion and positive outlook. They do, however, have strong sensual needs. Oh, so maybe we're taking this into the bedroom here a little bit, though. Though Bo is staying in the kitchen, all right? Often manifesting in a love for food and other physical pleasures, all right? They don't drill down on it, but we can read between the lines, right? Diet can be a real problem for them for this reason, all right? They must make a special effort to curb their love for buttercream, rich sauces, and delicious but fattening foods. And they can be prone to all sorts of allergies, particularly those that produce mucus, which makes cutting down on milk products still more vital. And although physically active in their youth, many February 26 people get too comfortable and sedentary as they grow older, and in some cases ignore their need for physical exercise altogether. And they should fight this tendency and partake in regular, moderate exercise of a non-competitive nature. All right, here we go. A little bit more of a return to form, I would say, with the health here. I say that because all the way back into Capricorn, they were just vacillating all over the place, and they were kind of breaking with their typical format. Here nor there, just something I found a note. So let's dive in, shall we, with your health. Confidence in keeping good health through autosuggestion, they said. And that is a first that this has come up. So I had to look it up myself. And he also had what is this? That means literally talking to yourself, all right? Which dovetails nicely with the positive affirmations they were saying, and the positive outlook anyway. There's also a strong sensual need, they said, and a seeming through line, I would say, with this particular period. It's pretty popular there, the sensual needs and whatnot, which is a little anomalous, but that also went back to Aquarius as well, and a little bit of Capricorn. But throughout the rest of the book, very anomalous. Didn't come up all too often. A diet focused on an avoidance of fats as well as dairy products. That goes all the way back to Capricorn, all right? It's particularly mentioned here with the dairy, I would say, and argue, because for Pisces, the lymphatic system is a body area. And you get too much milk in there, you're apt to produce the mucus, like they said. So that's the chief reason, I would say. A little bit weird that they didn't bring that up. Here nor there, that's why I'm here for you, all right? There's also warnings against a sedentary lifestyle in your later life, so moderate exercise is recommended. A lot of the Saturnian influence is coming into this too. They mentioned animal fats and just other fats in general. Huge Capricorn through line for that reason, and Saturn rules the Capricorn there. So I would say that this aspect of the exercise there too applies also. All right, so maybe take note if that's what I'm trying to say. Even if you don't necessarily believe in the astrology type stuff, hey, why not try it out? In any event, that's been your health, so let's move on to some advice. All right, here we go. Keep things simple and always human. Don't get carried away. Take yourself a bit less seriously. Learn to listen, share responsibility, and sometimes let others be the boss. All right. Rather interesting. I'd say a little bit redundant to some extent, but sometimes we need to hear things repeatedly before we can start opening our ears to them. You hear them 37 different ways, you're apt to pick up on one, or there's just the repetition in general. Hear it 37 different times. It's number 38 that you're apt to finally let it happen, all right? So let's dive in with the notes here. I had to write it in a book, so bear with me here. My writing is tiny. But let's see what I had to say about what they had to say. All right. Keep things simple, all right, and human. You can be heavy handed and over serious according to the breakdown, all right? And you don't have to, I would say. So you can make things more complicated than they need to be. And you might create obstacles in doing so. So, which dovetails nicely with don't get carried away and take yourself less seriously, all right? Those who can laugh at themselves without losing dignity, like they said, or their self esteem are considered higher evolved, all right? So, I would say aim for that for sure. I said, learn to listen, share responsibility, and even let others be in control or be the boss. All right. I say, letting others drive not only opens you up to a more passive role. Hey, you can look out the window, right? It takes some of the stress off your plate, I would say. All right. Allows you to take a rest, a little bit of a respite. It also allows some sharing to occur, all right, which fosters a mutual respect, I would argue. And that's a facet of allowing your human side to show, I would say the warmer side, or show past that grave exterior that they mention. Good to say, but you know what? It's nice to share some responsibility once in a while. Else, you know what? It'll take some of the weight off your shoulders if you like. But that said, that's what I'd say about your advice. Let's move on to your meditation. That's right. It's your birthday. You get a meditation, something to reflect upon if you like. Here we go. Awakening others carries tremendous responsibilities. Oh, interesting. Diving back into something that otherwise could have been breezed over, if you like. All right, once more. Awakening others carries tremendous responsibilities. All right, that's it's your birthday. That's your meditation. I'm not going to throw my spin on it or try to influence it for you one way or the other. I might have done so already by mentioning that kind of seems to correlate with some aspect of the reading that otherwise may have gone unnoticed. But that said, I'm not going to say anything more. Your birthday, your meditation. All right. So with your meditation in the can, let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's see where you got the girth and where you otherwise ostensibly a little more deflated or atrophied within the metaphor. That's right. Your strengths, you're empathetic, you're critical. Interesting. That might have been a weakness if viewed a certain way. And you're also stimulating. All right, stimulating. But your weaknesses, let's hold the objective mirror up, but flip it to the side that blows up your face. Maybe shows off the things you might be otherwise a little more superficially insecure about within the metaphor there. That's right, your weaknesses. You're self-important. Ooh, that's not a good look. You're harsh and reactive. Interesting. And reactive is a weakness. And you know what? A lot of times these things, I would argue, they just depend upon the situation as well as the individual. There was one day, a couple months back, impulsive popped up as a strength. Very next day, it traded to a weakness. So I was like, what's the disconnect here? That's a day that's so proximal to the other would change so dramatically. It just depends on the situation and the personality. But in that being said, I like to argue that sometimes our strengths are probably going to help us overcome or improve upon our weaknesses. And sometimes I like to say our weaknesses can also be strengths. Now let me try to make a case for it. I failed miserably yesterday. Let's see what I can do today here. You're empathetic, you're critical, and you're stimulating. All right. So with your weaknesses, self-important, harsh, reactive, hey, if you're empathetic, hey, I would say that if not only turning that on yourself, hey, where am I lacking? Hey, you know what? You're going to be able to identify the areas in which you're weak, all right? We already know these things, but maybe they have additional little facets in there. And you're able to turn that objective mirror on yourself and really give a good look, all right? Also, I would say if you've been empathetic with other individuals, they're apt to be in your camp if you need some help improving upon yourself. So you can draw them in, I would say. A little tertiary result there from that. You're critical. Hey, you know what? You're going to hold that mirror up and really look into it and assess the problems for what they are. You're not going to poo-poo it as some others may. And you're stimulating. Hey, you know what? You might do so in a way that also wakens others to as much. Hey, they see you improving on your weaknesses. Oh, hey, they might do so for themselves as well. I know that doesn't really correspond to you, but how do we turn that on ourselves? Say, if you see that you're stimulating others, that might just give you more motivation to keep after it, I would say. That also seemed a little tertiary. But hey, let's roll with it, all right? As for your weaknesses being strengths, self-importance. Hey, we were talking about, what was it? That hypocritical aspect of you being somehow charismatic and it didn't seem to make sense. You know what? Again, I would say that there's a certain air of confidence that comes off with that, and that might bring certain individuals in. It might also draw others or push others away, but hey, you know what? You need to show moderation and also know how to identify such things. It's a skill that we build up over time, but it can still be a strength, I would argue. Just be careful you don't overdo it, all right? It says you can be harsh. You know what? Hey, sometimes we have to be harsh, I would say. There's some folks that have to have the whip cracked in order to get after things, whereas there's others that just need to be asked, all right? And the earmarks of good leadership is knowing those individuals and what they need to get motivated and get after tasks. So careful with how harsh you may be on those individuals who don't need the whip crack, all right? Also reactive. Hey, you might just knee jerk on things too much. I would say take note of as much so that you can, okay, what caused that? How do I improve upon it? Guilty of it myself, and then I'm only ever objective about it right after I did it. And like, okay, how do I improve upon that? But can reactive be a good thing? Hey, you know what? It's just like a reflex thing. You put your hand on a hot stove, you got to take it off. You know what? That's a good thing in some circumstances. Again, just knowing your situation. If you react to, like the factory floor, the fire catches on the main machine, you're reactive. Hey, I'm into it. I'm onto it. You might be harsh and barking out your orders and everything, but hey, that's what needs to get done. All right. People might think you're a little self-important. Hey, he's taking control. He's barking all the orders. You know what? It's reaction. We got to get on it. We can deal with people's feelings once the fire is out. All right. Perfect. I think that works a lot better than what I had for yesterday's, folks. With that having been said, I also like to argue don't get rid of your weaknesses altogether because they're part of who you are. All right. And as we saw, they could be strengths as well. So just be moderate with it and flavor to taste if you like. So any event, that's been your strengths and weaknesses. So let's move on to those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, something I like to do, not only see who shares your company, but look at it from the perspective of taking some inspiration from what they accomplished and maybe trying to figure out our own passions, assuming you don't have one. I'd say that because too often in life I get out and meet folks, ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it, and they don't like what they're doing, all right? And I think the fatal flaw is they just got out of school, got in a job to make ends meet, and it had nothing to do with anything they'd be interested in. They just needed to make that money, right? So, and then over time, and maybe they start climbing the corporate ladder, they find that it's a little easier, a little bit more money. They're used to everything that has to happen. Hey, you know what? Can't blame them for sitting back, all right? But I say at the root of it again, there's nothing fulfilling about what they're doing for them personally. And so I think it's important that we're focusing on trying to carve out some time to put in some work to figure those things out. Because I would argue a lot of times it takes time and effort. And, at the end of the day, when you get off work, you're rallying for the next day. You're not putting in any time to figure those things out. So again, I think this is the perfect the perfect time tool to use to start adding fuel to that respective fire. But if you already have a passion, have it figured out, and it's financially viable, then hey, the hat I'm not wearing is off to you. You can just see who shares your birthday, all right? So let's dive into it, shall we? We start off with Victor Hugo, the French poet, dramatist, essayist, critic, novelist of Les Miserables, I can't remember how to say that, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. We also have Henri Daumier, a French painter, sculptor, caricaturist, a lithographer, and imprisoned for a cartoon of King Louis Philippe, or Philip, perhaps. We also have Buffalo Bill Cody, the U.S. Army Scout, Colonel, Buffalo Eradicator, it says, showman of Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. We also have Johnny Cash, the country western singer and a film actor. We also have Fats Domino, the rock and roll singer and a pianist. And we also have Jackie Gleason, the comedian, film and TV actor. And it says he was Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners. We also have Tony Randall, the stage, film, and TV actor, and Felix in The Odd Couple. We also have Camille Flammarion, a French astronomer and writer of The Wonder of Heaven, and a psychic researcher later in life, it says. We also have Emile Couvet, a French psychotherapist and an apothecary, hypnotist, and founder of autosuggestive healing. Hey, that's where that comes from, apparently. We also have Orde Wingate, a British Indian Major General, Commando Raider, and also cut off Burma Railroad from the Japanese and died in a plane crash. We also have Theodore Sturgeon, a science fiction writer of More Than Human. We also have Godfrey Cambridge, a comedian and a comic film actor. And we also have Madeleine Carroll, a British actress. Emma Destine, that's two N's at the end, Czech operatic soprano. Irving Goldschneider, an immunologist, pathologist, and the meningitis vaccine developer. We also have Sir James Goldsmith, an Anglo-French financier and an industrialist. Noboru Takashiati, a Japanese prime minister. Robert Novak, TV journalist. Robert Taft, a U.S. congressman of Ohio. And He Kang, a Chinese agriculture minister. And that has been those born on this day. My cold was getting a little bit the better of me here, starting to seize up the throat, but I definitely 100% mucked up some of those names. Not done in malice, it's just Hooked on Phonics isn't the best tool for me with respect to that particular endeavor. So let's do some butchering on my side to make up for it as I try to stave off another cough. All right, here we go. That having been said, that essentially rounds out your birthday reading. I know it's a big-ass tall order to try and take inspiration from other people's accomplishments, but hey, at the very least, maybe me putting the bug in your ear about it help you stir up the fires, all right? Start driving after figuring out a passion. Because like I said, it takes time and work, but if there's anything I can wish for someone on your birthday, it's that you're doing backflips out of bed to get into your day, all right? Endeavoring after your purpose, your passion, but we got to figure it out now, don't we? That said, that essentially rounds out your birthday reading, except to say your season is winter, your sign, once again, is Pisces, of the Pisces I period specifically, and your quality and elements is mutable water. And this has been February 26th, the day of arousal. Don't know that we made a connotation with the pepper there, outside of maybe a little bit hot and heavy-handed in some cases, which, you know what, there's respect in that. There's charisma in it, too. It looked at a certain way. But that having been said, this has been The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description, right above a personal birthday message I like to put together for the birthday boys and girls, ladies and gents. So check that out if you're interested. Save the hassle having to type the book in the browser there if you're interested in picking up a copy. But it makes an excellent coffee table book. Let me tell you, that's how it got introduced into my life. I went over somebody's house for company, and they broke it out to try to break the ice. And you know what? They did so in interesting fashion. So you can use it for that as well, especially if you want to get a party started, for better or for worse. But hey, the conversation's going to get flowing. That said, book having been related, not altogether all too important in the scheme of things. So what's the scheme of things? Well, like I said at the top, wishing you a happy birthday. So once again, happy birthday, all right? And for everybody else who joined us randomly or more ideally to celebrate, I hope you enjoyed yourselves, took something of value from it even though it wasn't your birthday, and I hope to see you for your birthday reading. That's right. So that having been said, all that in the can, as it were, I just want to thank you for the pleasure of your time. It was a privilege to share your birthday with you. I enjoy doing these things for people, getting things going, trying to see what connections we can make with the day, etc. Because I'm always surprised at what I cook up sometimes, even if I'm not in the kitchen, if you like. But that said, once again, hey, happy birthday, all right? Also, I failed to mention getting yourself a pair of compression socks. Do yourself the favor, all right? Sometimes those lower extremities, which is another Pisces body area, hey, they might chance embolism, a stroke. So you got to be careful of that. But also get you your water, massage them lymph nodes. If you got issues like I do with the cough there, get that mucus flowing and cut out the dairy, all right? Do yourself a favor, or at least cut back, I would say. I like the ice cream myself, but I probably need to stay away from it for another week or so. So in any event, happy birthday, all right? Take care of yourselves, all right?